Hello, Terry here, Hot Wrench Fabrication. Next project that we have in the Hot Wrench Fabrication shop is working on this 55 Chevy. Pretty sick car. It's all done up real nice. We gotta do a few little things to it, but interior, absolutely gorgeous. Rear trunk all cleaned out, nice. So today I am going to start working on the hydroboost. So right now he has some sort of a aftermarket electric master cylinder system, and I'm actually really I don't know much about this, how it even works. I do see a little hose back here, so I'm assuming it's like electric hydraulic, but I don't know. He says it doesn't start worth a darn, so we're gonna fix that. Got a nice little LS in here all built up. Thing sounds rowdy, so super nice car. Couple little things to fix. The bracket right here sticks up way too high, and it's starting to gouge his little cable right here. We need to drop that down. Let's see if I can clean up this air cleaner a little bit. And yeah, so hydroboost is an alternative to vacuum boost. This works off the power steering pump. Power steering pressure goes to the hydroboost, and then that goes back to the rack and pinion. So hydraulic versus vacuum is going to be a lot more positive experience on the brake pedal and slows thing down. Of course, it has a nice wheel lid on here. So that's the next project. So sit back, enjoy, and let me know what you think. Okay, so I think the first thing I'm going to address is this silly stand here that sits way too tall. So it's really important that when you're making these, that it has to be straight. There's a little bit of an angle. Just because it's a cable doesn't mean it can't cause problems. So if you have an angle going sideways here, what it's going to do is eventually it's going to start pulling sideways on your arm right here, on your throttle plate. So you want that perfectly lined up, right smack dab in the middle. So what I'm going to do is just make a new arm. You can always can use the little billet part here that's already on there and just make a new arm. Bring this down a little bit and line it up. So it's going to come over here somewhere. That'll be pretty easy. So I'm going to draw this out on cardboard, and no, I'm not going to say I'm going to use my CAD cardboard aided design, because that is played out. Kind of fun when it first came out, but it's played out too much, so no, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to draw this in the cardboard here, and this is going to give me basically the size of where it was, and then figure out where it has to go from there. Pretty much almost the same amount here, just kind of down. So I'm going to make it kind of swoopy over here a little bit. So I'll take a few measurements off the car and kind of figure out where this needs to end up, and then transfer it to aluminum and cut it out of aluminum. So roughly this is kind of where the cable needs to be. So kind of along this edge, and I'm going to do about 2 inches, inch and a half, inch and a half. Actually, I think that's pretty close. I think I need to center this up, so maybe down a little bit more here. Maybe just not so big. There we go. So something close to that. The original pattern here, and then just has it come over. So about 1.5 inches down and just out a little bit more. So I'll cut that out. We'll see how it looks. Get my wacky scissors out here, because they work marvelous. Okay, something like that. I can round it off more. I might have to bring this one in a little bit. We'll see how it fits. All right, so actually looks pretty good. Something like that, and the hole lines up. And it's definitely lower. In fact, I could probably go a little bit lower than that. But I can just do that down here and just drill the holes up a little bit higher. So yeah, I think that's good. I'll transfer that over to some aluminum and we'll cut it. All right, so holes are cut out, and now that I've done that, this looks a little goofy. I think I'll cut more of that off. Just the angles are kind of weird. I'll fix that, and then see about some holes, clean her up. All right, there's one piece done. Just called the customer and asked him if he wanted it aluminum or black, and we're going black. So pretty straight. The camera kind of gives it a weird angle, but it's pretty straight. It might be just a tad off, but it's nice. So yeah, looks good. All you have to do is powder coat it black and bolt it back on, and that part is done. So that was easy. Okay, customer wanted black. He's got black. So this black has a little bit of grain to it, and I just happen to have the same matching powder coat. So that's all done. Actually, it looks super good. Pretty sure he'll be happy with that. So I guess I'm taking these brakes apart, and then keep you posted. Next thing I'm attacking is the coolant leak. So upper radiator hose that they have made out of metal, which is cool. It's made out of metal, but I don't know what's going on here. I really don't like this dropping down and going back up. When I took it off and kind of dumped over a little bit, there was some black schmutz all over the place coming out of this thing. So I mean, that's obviously an area for sediment and gook and stuff to form. But every one of these joints is basically leaking. So this is leaking coolant here. It's leaking coolant up here. So yeah, I don't like that. And yeah, you can see it right there. It's just dumping this black crap all over the place. So You know, you get all kinds of corrosion in there and rust and stuff, and then that's what causes that to start leaking. So, I mean, I see the concept. You know, they wanted to drop it down underneath there to kind of give room for the air cleaner, but there's room. I mean, you just drop it down and go straight across. So the air cleaner, it's big, and you know, it just kind of sits where it sits. Not a whole lot to do. I'm putting that brake system on there, the hydroboost, and that's going to come out quite a ways. So we're really going to take up, I think it's 16 inches, 13 inches. It's going to come all the way out to here. So it's going to trap up some of my real estate here. I wanted to build a box, but I don't know if I'm going to have enough room. So, you know, this is the air cleaner. It has that nice big one on there. So where they had it on there was bumping right here, when they could have just extended it and got that little notch in there, and that would have been able to drop it down, you know, another 2 inches probably, because it's sitting up here. It could have went way down there. So, and we'll fix it up. So I'm gonna build my own radiator tubes. Start with this little piece right here. That one will go on right here, and then it'll shoot straight across and then come up just a little bit. And I think I'm going to put a 45 degree instead of one of these. Although, well, that might be fine. I was thinking about cutting, putting a 45 degree, but it's actually about the same length. So I'll probably just put another one of these on there, but kick it down a little bit. And then that'll give you plenty of room, and it'll be nice and flat across there. That's what I'm doing. All right, so I built my own little bead roller for the ends of these. It's a little cumbersome. Well, it's a lot cumbersome. And I really need 3 people to make this thing work. But it was free, and it kind of works. So, it's nice to be able to put a little bead on here so your hoses don't pop off. Boing. See, that's the part that's kind of cumbersome. Well, I can get a wrench to fit that. 1 1/8. Hold, please. There we go. So if I would have put a gear set in there, it would have worked a little better, but couldn't really figure out how to make a gear set for it. So this is what I came up with. And there you go. So not too bad. Puts a pretty good little bead on there. That's better. So this piece here goes straight and then kicks up a little bit. Kind of see the angle there. So it's got to shoot a little bit of powder coat on there. I'm going to get a adapter for this one because this is 1 1/2 inch. This is actually like 1 3/8. So they make an adapter that washes that down. So I'm not, it's kind of loose up here. And I use this elbow that I had already. It's really tight. And I was able to gain a little bit more clearance right there. So I like it. That looks much better than that whole mess right there. Plus, it's not going to leak. All right, so there's the operator tube, all powder coated, using this kind of, it's called midnight black, but it's got just a little bit of a texture to it, which matches all of this stuff. makes it look cool. Unfortunately, most of it's going to get covered up because I'm going to have an intake coming down, and then I'm going to try and make a box in this area. But I think today I'm going to go ahead and start on the brake system. So start ripping this thing out and fit the new one in there and see how it fits. Okay, got the master cylinder out, and I'm working on the little catch can right here. So basically they have this little petcock mounted all the way down here. Kind of hard to see. Way down here underneath the bottom of this. And this is a royal pain in the butt to get to. You got to reach down in there and try and flick this with your hands. So what I am going to do is put a 90 degree on here. That'll kick it off to the side a little bit. And then I'm going to put a ball valve. So ball valve, all little fittings to go on there, and then put a barb on there with a hose that actually goes down underneath the car, so you can just slide a real thin pan or whatever you want and dump it off that way instead of dumping it all over your car. That'll be nice. Okay, that's more gooder. So literally just flip in there, one finger, so they get these brake lines out of the way a little bit. Flip, flip, piece of cake. So plenty of room to get in right here. Master cylinder will be over here still, so bloop, bloop. Piece of cake. Another one fixed. Okay, so that is on the brake system. Looks kind of cool with all the black and silver look. It's big, but fits real nice in there. Enough room for all this stuff. And then the lines run over here, so plenty of room. The only hard part was that little guy right there. I had to shave the stud down, or because there's studs coming out, shave it down to just the perfect length. So, but it worked out pretty good. And then obviously the old brake lines sitting right below here. All I have to do is trim them and then stick them in the bottom there. So got my little brake flaring tool. If you've never flared a brake before, it's pretty simple. Your stick out right here needs to come to the edge. Oh, so there's a little step right there. You want to make sure that it's sticking up just the same as what that little edge is right there, and it's got to be super tight so when you start pressing it, it doesn't drop down. So I'll get this all tightened up. All right, so there's two types of flares. There's a double flare, which is what this one is. So you can see it's kind of thick on there, and then there's a iso flare or bubbles flare, which is basically just one step of what I'm about to do. So got this put in there nice and tight, and then this tool clamps down on that, and you got to put this piece in here. Crank this all down. So this is a two-step, obviously, double flare. And then you just crank this down. Oh, this one's stainless steel, so it's a little tight. And you want to pretty much go down until it's bottomed out. There we go. All right, so that's basically like a bubble flare right there. So it gets half of that done. Now we go back in with just the point, just the tip of it, and run it down again. And this time you have to be kind of careful not to go too far. You can smash the edges too much, so it's a little bit of a feel and kind of experience on. You can definitely loosen and tighten until you get it a good consistency. Basically, dang it, sorry about the clanging and banging. That's what it needs to look like. So you want enough thickness around here so when you tighten it down, it has something to clamp onto. That was it, double flare. So I'll just cut and bend the rest of these however I need to and get it put on. And then one very important step is don't forget to put your little nut on there first. Everybody's done that, at least everybody I know. So not the end of the world, because you can literally just cut off just the teeny tiny end of it, put your nut back on, and then put it back on there, and you're really not losing much. But yeah, you get in a hurry and then you forget to put that on there, but it's a pretty good looking flare. So if you do make a mistake and forget to put your little nut back on there, most of these tubing cutters will actually have little grooves right there. So when you set this in there and tighten it down, you could put that flare in there. Put that flare in that little tube and you're literally just, like I said, you're just barely chopping off the edge of that. So, but I didn't forget, it's right there. There's the first little hose, goes like that, straight up in there. Turned out pretty good. All right, so that's all done. So there's a little catch can down there. Super easy to get to now. Just reach down, flick it. I just got to put a drain hose on it still. But these hoses are all done. Turned out pretty good, nice and neat and straight. And tied into the existing ones that actually did a pretty good job on them. So yeah, pretty happy with that. So that's what it's going to look like. And then I got to hook up the hoses still, which looks like I got plenty of room. The rack and pinion is way down there, the steering column. That's way down there, so that's not even close to being in the place that is going to disrupt things. And then down yonder, you can see the hoses there, and the pressure hose over here. It's going to get a little bit hard to get to, but it's down there. So do what we got to do, get those put on. All right, so I pulled the alternator out of the way so I can gain access to the pump right here. So I took the lines off already. So pretty easy access. This is the main power, or the power going from the power steering. And then this one goes back to the rack, and then this is a return. So the hoses that they give you with plenty of adapters and stuff, it's actually perfect length. There's a bunch of different adapters to be able to plug them into your unit. But it literally fits within 1 inch. So tape it off, and then I just use my little portable hacksaw. It does a pretty good job. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to do that. You can cut it with one of these guys. I actually have some hose cutters, some really big ones, but they kind of put a little crimp on there. So I like to use this. It seems to do a pretty good job. So I'll cut that, clean it up, and then show you how to put the fittings on. All right, so first thing you do is just slide this over, and there's going to be little pricklies on there, so you got to be careful. Hardest part is getting this ferrule on here. So that goes in between the metal and the plastic, the PTF plastic inside there. So you just got to be careful and kind of push it on there. And I'm going to do this probably off camera because I imagine I'm going to get stabbed quite a few times, but it's already kind of starting to go on there. Piece of cake. All right, not too bad. So press it on to the plastic kind of seats. There's a little edge inside there. And then I like to put a little WD on there just so it slides in a little bit easier. Like that. And then you slip that together. And then once you get this tightened up, it's going to kind of crush all that together. It crushes that brass ferrule in there. Only thing I need to do is make sure that I clock this. So I'm going to kind of give it a mock-up in there of how it's going to sit. Because this sits to the master cylinder. So by the time I get all this spread around, if I'm backwards on this, it's going to be really, really hard to try and twist it. It's not going to work. So I want to make sure that I clock all that, get it all lined up the right way. All right, pretty nice. So it goes down underneath there, hugs the firewall, down along the frame, and then comes back up over here, and pizza cake. So it's all tightened up. So now we'll go to the pressure line that goes to the rack. So same thing as before, just route them, cut them, put them together. So I'll show you guys when I'm all done. All right, so here is the line that comes from the hydroboost back to the positive pressure of the rack and pinion, and then this is going to be the return line for the vacuum or the hydroboost, and then that goes into this line right here. So all I have to do is just cut this one right there and put a little T in there, which is a little cheesy, but they got hoses or hose clamps that are like 20 sizes too big, but pretty simple deal. I have some different hose clamps that are the right size, so I'll swap those out. And then that's it. That's the last connection. All right, all buttoned up, buttercup. So looks pretty. And we are also buttoned up. The lines running down there, all nice. Along with the brake lines, and the power steering hoses, kind of go in this little gap down there. Looks pretty good. Power steering pressure line. So all I gotta do is put the alternator back on, which is a royal pain in the ass. No room to get the bolts out because it hits the fan over here. So, oh, what a pain in the butt. We'll get that back together, and then I got to bleed everything. Oh, actually, I should probably put some power steering fluid in there now, huh? And then get everything bled out and take it for a drive, see how it works, and then I have to take the rack out later on. Actually, I have to make an air cleaner cover thing here first. But yeah, this part's done. Nice. All right, back in the shop. Had a nice weekend at the dunes. Have a dunes video coming up sometime this week. Had a lot of footage, so should turn out pretty good. But today I'm going to work on the air cleaner. I was going to try and build a little box down here. And then I was hooking the alternator back up and noticed this little guy right here. You know, it works, but not a big fan of that look. Just a crimp-on connector, and then the wire size or the eyelet size is way too big and just kind of looks goofy. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that up, make it nice. Alright, so there's my repair. You see it in there. Little braided hose on there with some heat shrink. Make it nice, just a little bit longer so I can lay it this way instead of just straight across like a guitar string. So now it's got a little bit of flex, and it looks much better. Probably should wrap that one up. And orange kind of sticks out. I could put a little cover on there too. Okay, I think that's a little better. Amazing what just a little bit of cleanup will make it nice. And put some that split stuff on there, split conduit, and cleaned it all up. So yeah, now I'm gonna do the air cleaner. Actually, I gotta get this thing bled too, so I may do that first. Well, I think I came up with something I can live with. The most attractive thing in the world is a 4-inch. It's hard to work with. I could get a bunch of 4-inch pie cuts and spend hours and hours and hours on this and remake it all, but I can't get just metal 4-inch 90s because it's not nearly tight enough to be able to do this. I have to do it with rubber, which, I mean, it looks okay, but the air cleaner sits down kind of down there. It's nice tucked away now. And then I'm going to come off of here and then kind of wrap around the back with the little shield just to kind of keep some of this header exhausts away from here. And I can insulate it a little bit. Something like that. I think it's alright. Looks pretty good. This is what I came up with. I think it's pretty good. Still not a big fan of that. I don't know if I'm gonna maybe switch that up a little bit. Get a piece of aluminum, kind of pie cut it. It may fit in there. I don't know. We'll see. But the basic shape and feng shui is all there. It looks pretty nice. I got to put a couple of little Zeus tabs on there to hold that in there. And of course, paint it all up. Make it nice. Put the little mesh on there. That turned out pretty good. Just give a little bit of accent. Kind of cool looking. So yeah, I don't know. I think I like it. And then the air temperature sensor, manifold temperature sensor air going in there is right there, so that's going to work out. So not too bad. I'll show you when it's all powder coated and finished up. I finished up the air box. I think it turned out pretty good. Put a little screen on there, looks neat, and then the front of this is actually open. So there's some more screens in there that get some air going through there, and then the bottom of it's open too, so it'll get air from the bottom. But what I wanted mostly is keep some of this header heat off of there. Not super happy with this. It's just so hard to work with 4-inch. More likely what I'm going to do is probably get some straight 4-inch and then end up pie cutting it and making it tight and a little bit nicer look. But that's probably for another day because this was a lot of work. But all in all, I think it looks pretty good. So the hydroboost is a success. And the coolant hose that is now pretty much all hidden, that was a success. Finished up some wires underneath and did some cleaning, and yeah, so this is nice. This car turned out good. 55 Chevy. So once again, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this, and I should have a Dunes video coming out real soon. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.